Hey everybody, Gisele Grenier here from artplace.ca. In today's video, we're going to do a little tutorial on transparent red iron oxide and transparent yellow iron oxide. Not so much using those colors. I just finished closing off the color mixing course and challenge. And one of the colors that I've talked about a lot was the transparent red iron oxide that is really good in portraits and for mixed media, and as well as transparent yellow iron oxide. With those two colors, depending on what you guys are using, you may not have that. So I'm going to show you how to make something close to it. So one thing is that because those two colors, they're from single pigments and it's how they're manufactured, how they're processed while manufacturing, you're never going to get an exact match. It's just not going to happen. So unless you want to go out and buy those colors, you're going to have to mix them up. And you're going to have to be okay that it's not going to be an exact match. The key, though, when creating that mix is to make it transparent. So for that, I'm going to be, well, I've got two choices. We can either use something that's high gloss or matte. You can use either one. So I've got the DecoArt Media Heavy Gel Medium and Matte Medium. You can use either one. And I'm just going to use the matte medium because the heavy gel medium takes longer to dry. And I'm going to show, and I'm going to be working with the traditions for this because I'm running low on the transparent oxides in the fluid line. So I'm going to make up some samples of the transparent red iron oxide and transparent yellow iron oxide. And then to try to come up with matches to this, I'm going to be using Naphthol red, Paranone orange, yellow oxide, and burnt sienna. That's it, part of the limited palette. Now, depending on what red you have, what orange you have, and what neutral yellow you have, that'll be completely up to you how you mix up those colors. But give it a shot and see what you come up with. So with the transparent yellow iron oxide, having the color index number and properties on the back is key. It's made up with PY42, pigment yellow 42. If I look at yellow oxide, it's the same thing. But yellow oxide is opaque, where transparent yellow iron oxide is the same pigment, but it's transparent. So it's how it's processed during the manufacturing. So I'll put those over here. Transparent red iron oxide is PR101. Burnt sienna is PBR7. So depending on the brand, you may have something called English red oxide, which I do have, but it's not a color that's in my limited palette. So I'm going to be using burnt sienna because that's one of my core colors. Burnt sienna is opaque. Transparent red iron oxide, obviously, is transparent. Okay, so I'm going to put those over here. When working with transparent red iron oxide, it's a red-orange, kind of like a ruddy red-orange. And we're working with transparent yellow iron oxide, it's a yellow-orange. So you kind of think, well, I'll just add red to that, and I'll just add orange to that. But again, it depends on the red and the orange. So let's just work with the basics. And I have some white so you can see the true underlying colors. So everything is put out over here. So I've got my, let's see. So I've got my transparent red iron oxide. And I've just got plain old white paper here, nothing fancy. So here's it's unprimed. So there's the transparent red iron oxide. And we'll put some white over here just so you can see the true underlying color. So definitely leans toward, so if you think of it, it's a neutral, but if I had to place it on the color wheel, it looks like it's in the red orange area, but it's a neutral, so it's got brown. I'm going to repeat the same thing now with transparent yellow iron oxide, which I love me my transparent colors. So although it does immediately hit towards yellow, it does have a little bit of orange to it. So I'm going to get up the matte medium. I forgot to put that out. Well, if we want to try making, first let's say transparent red iron oxide, if we're color matching, I've always taught when you see something that you're matching, whether it's a leaf, skin tone, fur, whatever, when your palette's all put together, what color do you first look at that and you say, what does it look like? It looks like a red-orange. That's simple, looks like a red-orange. So if you go to something on your palette that's red-orange, then you ask yourself the questions, is it lighter or darker than what I'm looking at? Is it more intense or is it more dull? So you've got those questions that you're asking. I first think of burnt sienna right away. So let's grab some burnt sienna. Looking at burnt sienna, first of all, way too dark. Way too dark. we don't want to add white because that's going to make it opaque. So what we're going to be doing is working with more of the reds and less burnt sienna. But first we have to, Naphthol red is pretty intense. It's a pretty intense pigment. So is that enough? Just using, no, not even close. Not even close. First of all, it is opaque. So if we add the matte medium, not even close. You can use that for skin tones though. So if we think of, okay, well, I still have to stick to burnt sienna. That's, you know, I still have to stick to that. That's not going to change. I'm going to put less out there. What about orange? On dirty brush, orange. Yeah, I'm starting to see. Let's bring some of that in here. There we go. Let's borrow it a little bit. I'm liking that. Let's take a little bit of white, see the true underlying color. Ooh, it's a little bit too orange. A little bit too orange. Well, I can then go into some yellow oxide, but you get to the point where you end up adding so much color that it just doesn't make any sense. I'm going to put a little bit more burnt sienna in there, and I've got white in here. Let's add a bit of white. Not bad, not bad. You know, I'm thinking it's a little, it still needs to go to a little bit towards yellow. Let's steal a little bit of yellow oxide. See, this is why it's nice just to go out and buy the paint. But if you can't, oh, look at this. Look at that, coinky dinky. I've been filming that for almost 7 minutes. Well, it's easier just using the transparent colors, but making that, so it's going to be more orange. So I use Paranone orange. Yeah, my writing's atrocious. And then to that, what did I do? I added burnt sienna. And then to that, we added a touch of yellow oxide. And as it's drying, you still see it's still a little bit too much orange. Still a little bit too much orange. Add a little bit more yellow to it. Add a little bit more white. And all I'm doing is I'm trying to match it to that. A bit more white. That's probably about as close as I'm going to get. That's actually really good. And then to take that mixture, and typically you would make that up on your palette, then just add the matte medium to it to make it transparent. Let's make it again. So Paranone orange. Let's try roughly with an equal amount of burnt sienna, just so we can get a base. Mix that up. And let's add roughly half of yellow oxide. Let's add some matte medium. Now matte medium looks white. And I'm thinking that's a little bit too orange. Just put a speck of burnt sienna. The reason why we need to add the matte medium is because the burnt sienna is opaque. Paranone orange should be semi-transparent. It's transparent. Let's retest with white. Not quite enough yellow oxide. Yellow oxide is also transparent, opaque. So you see, just by, you know, the colors are still, they're still off now. So adding a little bit more white to it. So the mixture, so 1 part Paranone orange, 1 part burnt sienna, and 1/2 to 3/4 of yellow oxide and your matte medium. So that makes up something close to transparent red iron oxide. Your time is worth money though. If that's a color you're going to use a lot, just think of, and I've been doing this for years, think of how long it took me to make this versus spending the money on buying the tube. If you use it a lot, buy the color. Then the yellow oxide and transparent yellow iron oxide, when I look at yellow oxide, it's pretty close. You don't need to do a heck of a lot more to that other than just adding matte medium. But depending on what brand you're using, you may want to hit it with a touch. I'm talking a speck. a speck of red. We'll add white, see true underlying color. That's not bad. That's actually pretty close. It's a little bit more on the orange side, but I know that adding Paranoid Orange is going to be too intense. So adding a speck of the Naphthol Red, which is kind of more oh, look at that. See, too much. I should have added it in here. I should have put it in here. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. I'm not going to edit the mistake. Let's do it again. So yellow oxide, speck of red. I'm talking a speck. And then white. And you would add the matte medium, of course. There we go. Just matching it up to the true underlying color, and that's about as close as we're going to get. So the transparent yellow iron oxide is much easier to make up. The key is just yellow oxide, and you can warm it up a little bit with the neutral red, but yellow oxide and matte medium or the heavy gel medium. Either way, that's how. You could think, well, why don't I just use water? Water evaporates. You're going to be left with paint. On top of that, if you add too much water, you're going to break down the strength of the paint. So adding an actual, like a medium to it is already formulated to work with the paint. That's going to be better. All right, so with the so that's transparent yellow iron oxide, transparent red iron oxide. So it's yellow oxide plus teeny tiny touch of Naphthol Red. And even that, you probably could omit it, plus matte medium. There you go. So I hope that this helps you come up with that, because I know a lot of the mixed media stuff that's out there, you use the transparent oxide colors, and you know, really, really nice. You can even go with some blues and stuff like that to make your own transparent layers for glazing and all that stuff. But specifically for mixed media and portraits, these are good colors to work with, because with the transparent oxides, you get optical color mixing. So as you add a layer, dry, a layer, dry, a layer, dry, all those layers of, you know, the colors, when the light goes through, you have the optical color mixing. You're not physically mixing the paint to make it look like that. Because of the transparent layers, more light's coming through and it just becomes much more luminescent. So that's it. So I hope that this helps you, and I would love to hear from you if you use any of the transparent oxide colors. What do you use? What do you use it for? And I'd love to hear your story, so please comment below. All right, so I'm going to clean up, get ready for my next project. So until I see you next time, stay inspired.